Shalom, Mishpachah. Shalom, everyone. This is Aunt Jimmy, aka Ambassadors of Yah, coming to you with a video of how to use your calendar beads. Now, we have two different types of calendar beads that many of you are using. We're using a more up-to-date one, which is if you purchase any ones or you order one from us now, you're going to get the updated version and not the older one. Because of changes, as we have been given revelation, we have updated our calendar to reflect that. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. So what you're going to need is, of course, your calendar bead. And regardless of what the color is, it's going to work the same. Okay, and these calendar beads, you only need to get it once. You don't have to purchase one every year. I get people asking me that question. No, once you get one, you can use it every single year. Okay. So now with that being said, you're going to want to orient it this way. Okay. And what I mean by that is the orientation of your calendar bead should be to the left, where you have your first month and your 12th month to the right here. Your first month to the left, your last month or 12th month to the right. All right. How do you know which one is the first month and the last month? You see here the color coordination of this one. Now, again, no matter what your color coordination is, you're going to see the same spaces of colors on your color strand. So let me show you. I have two different ones here. Okay. And see that I have them both oriented the same way. All right. You're going to want to make sure that your beads, as I'm showing it to you, it should be these two, which is your week of unleavened bread to the left. And then the last ones here, you'll see you'll either have, it'll be a different color than all the other colors on your calendar bead. So this one has a red one for the void day, and this one has a black one for the void day. Now, let me use this black one here because it seems to stand out a little more. Now, this is what I need you to understand when you're using these. Okay, again, you want it oriented this way. If you have it this way, all you got to do is flip it. Okay, if you have it where your calendar beads has the unleavened bread and Passover to the right, just flip it. That's all you got to do is just flip it. Very simple. All right, you want to flip it like that to where it is on the left. Okay, now with that being said, this is how this works. So you'll notice that at the very top, like on this one, you see it has 3 beads at the top. Those 3 beads are indicators of separating your seasons, okay? Your seasons into 4 seasons. You have your spring, you have your summer, you have your fall, and you have your winter months, okay? The first month, right here, Abib, you see that there's a white bead here and then a gold bead. So all the white beads have to do with high days, or also known as feast days. Okay, Moadim, as we say in the Abrit or in the Hebrew. All the gold ones in this particular calendar bead are going to be our Sabbath days. And there's 52 of them because there's 52 Sabbaths every year. 52 weeks? Yes, 52 weeks or 52 sevens. Okay, so we have 52 Sabbaths a year. Okay, like on this one, all the high days are purple and all the Sabbaths are silver. There's 52 Sabbaths, silvers. Okay, all right. So again, you want to start here. Now, the first day of the year is the spring equinox. The first day of the year is the spring equinox. With that being noted, what you'll find is 3 days later, spring equinox, the next day, another day, and then that day right there is your first Sabbath of the year. Okay, let me point out to it better with this pen here. And so let me blow it up so you can see what I'm talking about. You see here, again, this is the spring equinox. 3 days later, on the 4th day of the month, is going to be your first Sabbath, okay? The next one here is what we call the day when you put, this is the 10th day of the month. This is the day when you grab the lamb, the 1-year-old male lamb without any spot or blemish or wrinkle. That one will be set aside for the Passover. Now, we know we don't do that anymore, but we still observe it just to understand that this day does exist and that this is a day when you are to set apart the lamb, okay, which is indicative of even us, that we are to be purified before the Passover. Okay. Now, the very next day is a Sabbath. After this 10th day, you have your Sabbath. The 14th day of the month, as we're told in Leviticus chapter 23, the first day of unleavened bread. Okay, not the day of unleavened bread as the 7 days of unleavened bread, but the first day that you eat unleavened bread is going to be with their Passover. So the Passover is the 14th day. At evening, you are to eat your Passover, right? And then the next day, which is the 15th day, that's the first day of unleavened bread, the actual feast day, the unleavened bread feast day. For the next 7 days, you are to eat unleavened bread at evening. So this is the 15th, 16th, 17th, Shabbat, 19th, 20, 21 is the last day of unleavened bread. That is also a high day, okay? And then if you continue on, you'll see here that we have another white bead. This is the Feast of First Fruits. Okay, now once you get to the very top, which is 30 days, you're going to start all over again on the next strand. Okay, so this would be your next bead or next strand. Okay, you start at the bottom and once again, you work your way up. Now, these here are for the second Passover week. Okay, those who couldn't complete or partake of the first week or the first month, they do it the second month. This is the makeup month, the makeup Passover and unleavened bread. Okay, everything's the same, but they once again coincide together. After they get done with their Passover, they line up with those who did the first Passover and unleavened bread to what we know as the Feast of Shavuot, or you may know it as Pentecost in the Greek language. Okay, this is the Feast of Weeks, Feast of Shavuot, aka Pentecost. Third month. Okay, so after that we have the fall feasts. And the fall feast, you'll notice here is the first day or the first day of the 7th month. This would be known as Feast of Yom Teruah, or the Feast of Trumpets is another name for it, or Feast of Noises. And then you have your Sabbath, and then you go on to the Day of Atonement, which is the 10th day of the 7th month. Okay, then you have a Sabbath the day after that. And then you go into the 8-day celebration of the Feast of Sukkot. You have the first day, the second day, the third day, the fourth day, which is going to be a Shabbat. And then you have the 5th day, 6th day, 7th day, and the last day. This is the last day celebration. Okay, all this can be found in Leviticus chapter 23, everything that I'm speaking about here. Okay, now let's move on to the very last month. This is where you have to pay attention. Okay, when you're following the last month, as you're coming from the bottom going up, the very last Sabbath here, which is the gold bead here, what you're going to notice, let me bring this down so you can see, what you're going to notice is there's going to be a different color. Here, it is indicated by a red bead. This red bead indicates a void day. Now, for those of you who have studied with us, you know that we are to keep a 364-day calendar only, as we have been told in the book of Enoch and in the book of Jubilees, okay? In the book of Enoch, chapter 72, in the book of Jubilees, chapter 2 and chapter 6, all right? Now, this bead day, or this void day, is the 365 day, or this 365th day of the calendar of the sun. The sun has a 365-day cycle, but we're only told to keep a 364-day calendar. So what do we do with this remaining one day? Well, it has to come after the last Sabbath. Why after the last Sabbath? Because you cannot break up the week of work and then the 7th-day rest pattern. That has to stay always the same. First day, second day, third day, fourth day, 5th day, 6 days. All 6 days are for work. The very last day, the 7th day, is for rest. So you cannot put this void day anywhere in the week. It has to come right after the Sabbath. So this would be a day that is a void day, a day that you do not restart your week yet. You wait until that day is over, and then you start your count again. This will be the first day of the week, second day of the week, third day of the week. This is the last day of the year. Okay, what do I mean by that? So this right here would be 360 first day. This is 361st day. We don't count this day. 362nd, 363rd, 364th day of the year. And then we start all over again back at the very beginning. The very next day would be the spring equinox. This is the 4th day of the week. Okay. And then after that, you have the 5th day, the 6th day, and there's your first Shabbat. All right. Now we have a lot of videos on why this is to be counted this way. Okay. Again, after the last Sabbath of the year, you're going to not count the next day as part of Yahuwah's calendar date. This is the void day. This is the separator day. All right. And then right after that, you start counting again. After you've done this day, you're going to count the 1st day, 2nd day, 3rd day of the week. Okay. Then we get to the 4th day of the week, the 1st day of the year, the 1st day of the 1st month, but it's the 4th day of the week. Then you have the 5th day, 6th day, and then the Sabbath. That's your first Sabbath of the year. So after the spring equinox, 3 days later, you find your first Sabbath, because the spring equinox is always going to fall on the 4th day of the week. Okay. Now, people have asked me, how do you know to start the year on the 4th day of the week? Well, we have that information in the Book of Jubilees. Okay. That's going to be for one of those studies when you follow that with us. But this is just about how you keep the calendar. Okay. So again, all right, let me see if I can bring that back down. There we go. 364-day calendar. And that is how you keep it. Now, there's one more thing you're going to need for those of you who don't understand. Well, how do we know what day is what day? Okay, so if the spring equinox has already taken place, you didn't follow it, you don't know where you're at on Yahuwah's calendar, that's okay. All you need is our complimentary Enoch Zadok calendar PDF. And that is this right here. So to give you an illustration of how this works, if you have this calendar, which is available online, ambassadorsofyah.com, ambassadorsofyah.com, you'll be able to download this, or you can just read it right off of your phone, your tablet, your laptop, whatever. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to look for your pagan day. So today, we know that we are in the pagan month of November. So let me show you what I'm talking about. If you look at each one of these here, you're going to see that it has the pagan date at the bottom, 11, 12, 13th of April, right? Well, we want the one that talks about November, because that's the time of the month that I'm actually doing this recording here in the pagan year 2025. So we're going to go to the 9th month, okay, the 9th month of our calendar here, and we're going to find here where we're at. Today is the 22nd of November. So knowing that this is November 22nd, this is all you got to do to correlate it to your calendar bead. Once you find your pagan date, you want to find the month, Yahuwah's month. You'll see it at the top, Kadash 9. That means the 9th month. Okay. And on Yahuwah's calendar, today is the 6th day of the month. Okay. Again, how do we know it's the 6th day? Because the pagan date is November 22nd. So we want to mark out the 9th month and the 6th day on our calendar bead. So how would that look on our calendar bead? Remember, 9th month on the pagan month, 6th day. I mean, it's the 9th month on Yahuwah's calendar, but it's November 22nd on the pagan month. So here on the calendar bead, to have it correlate with the pagan date of November 22nd, we're going to count to the 9th month on Yahuwah's calendar. So we're going to count out strands. 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. This is the 9th month. Now notice I already have it pre-tied down. And then we're going to count 6 beads, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have to take this one up 1 because tomorrow is the Sabbath. All right. And that's all you do. You just tie it down. And from now on, at this point, what you want to do is you're always going to want to make it a routine. When you wake up, when you go and fix yourself some coffee or whatever your routine is, you need to add this into your routine that as soon as you wake up, you go and you mark out your calendar. You make the tie down on whatever date it is. Okay. So again, 9th month, 6th day. And then the next day, which is tomorrow, which will be a Shabbat, we'll take this off and we'll open it up, the slip knot, and you just push that through. Okay, once it's through, you just grab that and just pull on it. And now I've tied it down for the next day. Okay. All right. But that's not until tomorrow. And you would do that every single day. And then, and again, when you get up to the top, you're going to start all over down here at the bottom. All right. And so that is that simple. That's how simple it is. Okay. If you still have issues with this, let me know. Now, one last thing. You'll notice that you have one more tie down on your calendar bead. Now you can use it for whatever you want. You can make it for, for you to remember a certain date that's coming up so you don't forget. Or as we like to use it, because again, we know that there's a leap year every 4 years between the spring equinox. What do I mean by that? So remember we were talking about the calendar. Okay, that we're to follow is 364 days only, according to Yahuwah's command. Okay. However, we know that the sun has a cycle of 365 days and a quarter remaining left over. All right. So that means every 4 years, you're going to have an extra day. Those quarters are going to add up. Okay. And so now what you have is 2 days between the spring equinox instead of 1 day, because again, for the 4 years, you're going to have a quarter adding up. Just like if you had a quarter, 4 quarters make $1, right? So if 4 quarters make $1, same thing with the quarters of these days that are left over from one spring equinox to the next. So every 4 years, there's going to be 2 days separating the third day, or excuse me, the last Shabbat from the first day of the week. There's going to be 2 days instead of one. And so this here, you would use it for that 4th day as another count between the Shabbat and the first day of the week. So right now, like I was just sharing with you, every year you are going to count from this last Shabbat, this day, which is a void day, even though you count it for the 365, the 5th day of the summer cycle, you're not counting it for the 364-day cycle of Yahuwah's calendar. But every 4 years, you're going to add one more count between the last Shabbat and the first day of the week, okay, as you're going out of the year into the first day of what we know as the spring equinox, okay? If you don't count these 2 days on the leap year, the 2 void days, one being this red one here on this particular calendar bead, and then this tie down representing another day for the leap year, you're going to be off by a day, okay? Now, the only way you can get back on is you would actually have to mark out the sundial shadow to make sure it's a straight line on the spring equinox. But if you don't know how to do that, then you're going to be off. So this way, without knowing how to do the spring equinox reading of the straight line shadow, you can just follow this and just be on point every single day. Now, the next leap year is going to be 2028, if I'm correct. Let me check and make sure. Yes, so I am correct. The next leap year will be the pagan year 2028. There will be 2 days that you would count from the last Shabbat to the first day of the week. Okay, that won't happen until 2028. All right. Okay. So if any of you have any other questions about what I just shared today, please let me know in my inbox. You can always email me, and you can find me on ambassadorsofyah.com, and you can find how to email me from there. Until next time, I'm Ak Jimmy, aka Ambassadors of Yah. May Yahuwah keep you, may he guide you, and may he continue to allow the countenance of his light to shine upon you and your family. Shalom.